With the transatlantic alliance once again on the rocks, the question of how to guarantee Europe's security without America has once again returned to the top of the agenda. One idea that gained prominence last year, and has once again become a hot topic in Brussels, is the concept of nuclear sharing. The idea that Europe's two nuclear powers, France and the UK, could extend their nuclear deterrent to other European countries, thereby replacing America's long-standing nuclear umbrella over the continent. So in this video, we'll explain the concept of a European nuclear umbrella, why it's becoming more relevant, and how it might work. If you love staying informed and want some of the best reporting on YouTube, then subscribe and ring the bell for more. So let's start by explaining the concept of a nuclear umbrella and how it fits into ongoing discussions about the US's withdrawal from Europe. A nuclear umbrella is a type of security guarantee where one nuclear-armed state agrees to use its nuclear weapons to defend a non-nuclear country or countries from attack. Since the 1950s, most of Europe has been covered via NATO by the US's nuclear umbrella, a large and sophisticated framework that includes intercontinental missiles, nuclear-armed submarines, strategic bombers, and an estimated 100 tactical nuclear bombs deployed at air bases in 5 European countries. Thought to be Aviano and Gedi in Italy, Buchel in Germany and Incirlik in Turkey, Kleinobrogel in Belgium and Vulkel in the Netherlands. However, the reliability of the US's nuclear umbrella has been put into jeopardy by Trump's isolationist foreign policy and general disdain towards NATO, as well as his overt threats towards other NATO members, including his repeated refusal to rule out using military force to annex Greenland, a semi-autonomous territory of fellow NATO member Denmark. In the words of NATO's former Deputy Secretary General Rose Gottemuller last week, everything the United States is doing to raise doubts about its support for the NATO alliance will raise doubts about its willingness to extend a nuclear deterrent guarantee to NATO Europe. If the US does actually withdraw or scale back its commitment to European security, particularly in nuclear deterrence, then France and the UK, the other two nuclear powers in NATO, will presumably become responsible for the nuclear security of NATO's other European members. As such, early last year, analysts and policymakers began considering responses to a possible ending of the US nuclear umbrella. In March, French President Emmanuel Macron signaled that he would be open to expanding France's nuclear deterrent to other European countries, which Poland's then President Andrzej Duda also supported, with Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz also expressing support for a European nuclear umbrella using French and British arsenals, while stressing the importance of maintaining the US nuclear umbrella for as long as possible. Interestingly, all of this echoes a similar debate from way back at the start of the nuclear era. In the late 1950s, France, Italy, and West Germany tried to create a joint European nuclear force, but the plans collapsed when France, led by former General Charles de Gaulle, who had been distrustful of the US during World War II, viewing it as self-interested, decided to pursue its own independent nuclear program. In 1963, de Gaulle actually said, "Nobody in the world, in particular nobody in America, can say whether, where, how, to what extent US nuclear arms will be used to defend Europe." Obviously, de Gaulle's comments now sound rather prophetic, as European countries begin to seriously consider their defences without US support. So what might a European nuclear umbrella look like, and what are the pros and cons? Well, as we've already mentioned, there are only 2 countries in Europe, France and the UK, with their own nuclear weapons, so any arrangement almost definitely has to involve them. There are then really 2 options for creating a European deterrent without the US. Either a UK-French nuclear umbrella over Europe under the auspices of NATO, or a pure Euro deterrent that's independent from NATO. On the former, France and the UK have already taken significant steps towards creating a French-British nuclear umbrella over Europe. In July 2025, the 2 countries signed the Northwood Declaration, a joint nuclear statement acknowledging that there is, quote, "no extreme threat to Europe that would not prompt a response by our 2 nations." This suggests that in the event of a nuclear crisis, France and the UK will offer a form of joint protection to Europe, rather than just to themselves, almost like an Article 5-style nuclear guarantee for Europe. It also states that national nuclear forces, while still independent, i.e. ultimately controlled by each country's leader, can now be coordinated. This is a very notable shift. The UK had only previously ever mentioned coordination of its nuclear forces with the US, at least publicly, while France has never publicly stated that it will coordinate its nuclear forces with any other country. Then in December, the UK-France Nuclear Steering Group met for the first time to, quote, discuss Euro-Atlantic security issues and coordination of their respective independent deterrence, and closer cooperation is likely to continue throughout 2026. The second option for building a European nuclear umbrella, though, is what you might call a Euro deterrent, a nuclear umbrella for Europe specifically. This would probably be based around the French nuclear program, not least because letting other European countries get their own nuclear weapons would be a violation of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, but would involve the cooperation of other European countries, who might be involved in stuff like nuclear weapons policy, training, and maintenance, or even allow France to deploy their nuclear weapons on their territories. This wouldn't necessarily be organised under the auspices of the EU, but it would probably be organised outside of NATO, given neither the US or UK would be involved. This could potentially offer more flexibility compared to the French-British umbrella, which relies on both countries' continued cooperation and feels like a bit of an ad hoc fix to America's retreat from NATO. It would also be more independent from the US, given that the UK's nuclear program still relies on the US for the maintenance of its missiles and elements of the nuclear warheads. Nonetheless, building a Euro deterrent outside of NATO would be a pretty massive undertaking, and would require an unprecedented degree of intra-European integration on security matters. Ultimately, as things stand, an expansion of the current French-British umbrella that allows other European countries to participate, for instance by participating in a joint nuclear submarine force, or providing escort aircraft to France or Britain's nuclear fleet, seems like the most feasible option for building a European nuclear deterrent that's independent from the US. We should clarify, though, that France and the UK can't replace the US's nuclear umbrella in terms of size. The combined French and British nuclear arsenals amount to roughly 500 warheads, far less than the US's 3,700 and Russia's estimated 4,380. But at least 500 warheads still feels like more than enough to function as a deterrent. Whether or not you believe that the new year brings a new you, there's always pressure to find some way to better yourself when January rolls round. But where do you even start? Building new healthy habits isn't always easy to jump straight into. So that's why we always turn to Brilliant. That's because Brilliant focuses on real transformative learning, all on adapting to your own established skill level. It starts you at the right level based on your background, designs practice sets and reviews, all personalised for you. Brilliant helps you to advance at your ideal pace, giving you the best chance to stick to your learning goals. For example, even if you're not a maths person, Brilliant will push you towards achieving what you didn't think was possible. Their comprehensive catalogue takes you from foundational maths through to algebra, all the way to college-level calculus, with more and more courses being added each month. Brilliant has truly helped us to expand our skill set and kept us coming back every day to create those habits which help us grow. Suddenly, it's not so hard to stick to your resolutions. To start the new year right and begin or continue your learning journey, you can try Brilliant for free for a full 30 days. Just go to brilliant.org/TLDR, scan the QR code on screen, or click the link in the description. And Brilliant has also given our viewers 20% off an annual premium subscription, which gives you unlimited access to everything on Brilliant.